today? Today we are going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, makeup brushes. I am an addict, I am a fanatic, I love makeup brushes, and I've been getting a lot of requests from my personal family and friends who have been asking me about makeup brushes and what's the best kind and where should I spend the money and where should I save the money and what are the best brands and do we really need all of those brushes that you talk about. And so here I'm going to answer some of those questions. Makeup brushes are kind of confusing. There are so many out there. There's so many brands, there's so many price points, and honestly when I first started out makeup had no idea, like, how do you use these, which ones should I buy, which ones are good, which ones are bad. And so I am going to talk to you a little bit about my 10 favorite brushes and how I use them and what I use them for. Now, slight disclaimer, makeup brushes are like everything else makeup. They are what works in your hands. Not every brush is going to work the same for every person. Some things just are going to be, your baby, and some things are not. So I'm going to talk to you about my uses for them, and I'm going to talk about what I really love them for, but you kind of have to just step out of the box of the prescribed uses for these brushes. They're going to come in a little package that says this is for blush, and this is for crease, and this is for foundation. And yeah, they're good guidelines to follow, but don't be, weary of, oh, this is for foundation, I can't use it for blush and things like that. Like, you are totally allowed to step outside of the box and use them in any which way you please. Experimenting is really the best way to figure that out. So I hope you have as much fun playing with brushes as I do, and I hope that you get inspiration for some of these brushes that you go out and get and create a new look. If you do, go ahead and tag me and continue to watch Aesthetics by Amisha. Stay beautiful inside and out, and don't forget to subscribe, okay? Bye-bye. Okay, so this order is gonna go top 10, starting with number 10 first. So number 10 is a very simple brush, but it's one that I use absolutely every single day, and it is a eyeliner brush by e.l.f. So this brush, I believe, is $3. I don't know the exact pricing of all of these brushes, but it will be linked down below. And really, I have like 6 million eyeliner brushes, and I do my eyeliner every single day. Eyeliner is like the one thing that I cannot walk out of the house with. It's like my go-to makeup that I really need. And this, I always reach for this brush. I have tried so many other ones and I will use them, but really nothing hits the spot the same way this one does. It has been amazing after so many washes. I don't know how many times I've washed this brush, and it's sturdy. It doesn't get water caught inside of the handle at all. It doesn't shed at all. Eyeliner brushes typically don't, but this doesn't shed at all, and it's tight enough that when I am, doing eyeliner, when I'm pressing on it, it doesn't sway too much. So it gives me kind of pushing power, and so it really creates a clean, perfect line. So this is number 10. Okay, number 9 is a brush by Coastal Scents. I believe it's called an angled blush brush, but I have 2 of these. One I use for bronzer and for kind of shimmer powders, and the other one is for blush. And it's not my favorite brush for blushes, but it's my second favorite one, and it is definitely my favorite for bronzers, for the shimmer bricks, Bobbi Brown shimmer bricks, or like the Physician Formula dupe, things like that. So the number on it is BRCS25. That'll be linked down below. But the best way to find Coastal Scents brushes is on their website using the UPC number. But the reason I love it is it's super fluffy. It's really fluffy. It's very soft. So when you're, using it for blush, it doesn't really scratch the skin at all. It feels good to use. And the density and the angulation really are able to target the apples of your cheek really well. So I think that it works beautifully in my hands, and I loved it so much that the next time that I did a Coastal Scents order, I just threw one of these babies in there because I love it. Number 8 is another e.l.f. brush. You are going to see a pattern. I am in love with e.l.f. I think I own like all of their brushes, but the black handle ones are a little bit more expensive than the white handle ones, and all the ones that I really love are the black handle ones. This is their official crease brush. I used to use this for my crease all the time, you know, adding a transition shade, and it actually works very well for that. But I fell in love with another one of the brushes that I'm going to talk to you about. And so now what I actually use this for is when I am trying to create that V shape with the darkest shadow that I have. It's really fluffy, and so it blends really well. So it blends really well while I place the shadow. So usually I use a precision brush to place the shadow to make that V darkened at the outer corner, and then I use this to blend it through. But it's really fluffy, as you can see, but one of the good things about it is that despite being fluffy, it also is very dome shaped, so it actually has some precision to it as well. So this is one of my favorites. The next brush is one of the more expensive ones. MAC, I love MAC brushes, I love them, but they are quite expensive, and I feel like most of them I can find a really good dupe for, or you know, something that works just as well, but that's like, you know, a third of the cost. But there are a certain number of brushes that I'm sorry, I just cannot live without if it's not the MAC brush, because their quality is just unsurpassable. This one is MAC 212. It's like a flat shader brush, and I think that it just has so many uses that it's totally worth the money. What I love doing it is it packs on shadow really well. So, you know, if you want shadow only placed on your eyelid, you can, you know, dab it on there. It works really well for placing pigments, using eyeshadows wet. I even use this puppy to kind of blend out my primer, or if I'm putting like a paint pot down on my eyelid before putting any eyeshadow. This works really good for blending. If I can't get my finger into like a bin, just kind of dabbing it in there and then placing it on, it does a superb job. So this is worth every penny in my book, and I really love this one. All right, number 6. Number 6 is, I reach for this every single day. If this guy is dirty, my life kind of halts. It is also from Coastal Scents, and it is called, I think it's called the medium-sized fluffy brush something. Okay, let me just describe it, and I'll link the title. I won't try to butcher the title, but it's basically a big fluffy brush that's like multi-purpose. What I love it for is adding your crease color and for blending. For these two tasks, no brush, none, works better than this brush. For putting your transition shade, it's big enough and fluffy enough that it really spreads it without putting it, you know, in one spot. It warms up that crease really well. And then for blending, it does an amazing job blending. I have yet to find a better brush, even if it's more expensive, that blends as well as this one. So this is my baby. This is my baby for blending. 5. Okay, number 5 is another e.l.f. brush, and it is the small stippling brush. Now, this is kind of a cult favorite. There's 2, and the next one too. e.l.f. has some brushes that are just must-have brushes in the makeup community, and this is one of them. It does a really great job at what it's good for, which is stippling. So I've used it for foundation before too. For me, it's a bit small for foundation. I feel like it would take me forever. It did take me forever when I used it to blend in my foundation. It works really well, but what I have found that it's a holy grail product for is for highlighting and contouring, especially when I'm using bronzer to get inside of that hollow of your cheek. I like using a very precise brush, like something like the NARS Ita brush, or I have this guy, which is, you know, I think I got it on sale. I don't even know what it's called. It's from a Sephora kit, which the kit is awesome. I don't think they sell it anymore. But I use something as precise as this to make a line, and then I use the stippling brush to really buff that out. And it works really well for buffing other things out too. You know, if you have harsh lines, if you have applied your makeup and you just need it to look a little bit softer and smokier, this is your guy. So the other great thing it does is it is very good at applying cream blushes as well. So lots of uses, and again, I think $3. So you can't beat the price on e.l.f. and you cannot beat the quality. I mean, it is they last through cleanings, they don't shed, they're soft, they're dense, really just everything that a brush should be, e.l.f. brushes are. So this is the small stippling brush by e.l.f. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is yet another high-end one, the MAC one. And this one is actually, honestly, my favorite MAC brush ever. It's the MAC 252. And the reason that I love it so much is it's what I use exclusively to place highlighter underneath my brow bone. I have yet to find a brush that will place and blend highlighting product on that particular area as well as this guy does. And so I know it's a very small use, but I typically put a highlighter on my brow bone pretty much every day, even if it's a really subtle, you know, no makeup kind of look. I like just adding a little bit of highlighter because it gives me a glow. And so if I use this guy every single day and I wash him all the time and he has stood up to the tests of time and all of that, I think that it's a good investment. This brush never sheds. When I reform it after washing it and set it down to dry, it dries perfectly without the little fuzzies that poke out sometimes. It's a really good quality brush and it does its job amazingly. So we're getting up into the top 3. So number 3 is another cult favorite by e.l.f. It is the powder brush by e.l.f. I read reviews about this guy online and I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. And I feel like I had, you know, certain brushes that I was using for powder. Nothing compares to this brush after I bought this brush. It's dome shaped like this, it's flat. I'm assuming it'd work pretty well for foundation too, but I love it for dry powders. It's super dense. For a $3 brush, this is one of the densest brushes that I have ever seen. It's really dense and it is so soft. I don't like using brushes that have even the slightest bit of harshness to the bristles on my face because it's just not fun. You wake up in the morning and you're, you know, dabbing powder on, and if it's rough, it just, you know, it's not nice. This feels like a pillow on your skin. It's really soft and it does its job amazingly. It catches that powder in its dense bristles and really like formulates it into your skin. So it really, in like 3 seconds of use, gives you this airbrushed, really fine, refined finish. So I do not use anything else for my dry powders, especially my dry foundations, except for the e.l.f. powder brush. It's a cult favorite and it completely deserves the following that it has. Number 2 is something that I mentioned in a recent video of mine, and I pretty much use it in almost every single video. It is the pencil brush by Urban Decay. It's the 24/7 blending brush, and it's called the pencil brush on their website. Now, let me just tell you, this brush right now is on sale for, I believe, $3 or $4 on the Urban Decay website. So urbandecay.com, and then you click on the sale tab, and it is amazing. It is really good for blending under the eye, for blending that shadow out and creating kind of a smoky eye. It's really great for placing product very precisely. Cut crease. This makes cut crease eyeshadow tutorials so easy to do. And you know, there's a lot of pencil brushes and they do all of what I just said. But I have a very difficult time finding pencil brushes that are super soft. And this one is so supple and so soft that when you use it in areas that are so sensitive, like underneath your eye to blend, this doesn't create any harshness, any redness. It does not hurt at all to use. So this is why this is number 2 on my list. Time for number 1. Okay, number 1 on my list is the Coastal Scents Bionic Blender. It is item number BR-110, and it is amazing for liquid foundations. It's super dense, really dense, and it is really soft as well. The reason I love it so much is because any kind of liquid makeup, especially your liquid foundations, if you dab it on your skin and then just blend, it picks it up into the bristles and then almost does like a stippling action by itself. And so it creates this really airbrushed, amazing finish with virtually no effort from you, and it is also not very expensive, you know, for a brush that does as well as this brush does, and the quality of it, it's super it's heavy, it's sturdy, it's dense, and it's soft, and it's really high quality bristles. You'd think that it would be more expensive, but it is not. And so I think bang for your buck, this is the best brush ever for liquid foundation. And if you wear liquid foundation on a daily basis or a semi-daily basis, this is something you will use, and it will last for a very long time. So this is number 1 on my list.